What's up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We are back again with the latest episode of the Team Building Podcast, where you learn how to build a dominant real estate team in your market or any market, and to the moon. Let's go to Mars. Let's put real estate agents on the moon. We're going to talk to Elon Musk. We're going to get him involved. We're going to put real estate agents on Mars. All right. So we're talking about that. Now that feeds directly into our topic.
We're already generating internet leads from there.
Yeah, exactly. Running Google pay-per-click for Mars. So we're talking about scalable team training and accountability. So if you want to put agents, this is great because you need scalable team training in your home office anyway. But if you have aspirations to expand or do anything of that nature where agents have the flexibility of not showing up in your office, this is definitely the episode for you. If you don't intend to ever let anybody not show up to your office, you're still going to get a ton of value out of this because we're going to talk about how to scale and leverage your team training, even if everybody rolls into your office. So we've got Andy here, Andy Cuny, Success Manager, and I don't know what your latest exact title is, but I know what you do, but kind of remind people, just because it's been a while since you've been featured on the show, what your role is within ERS and within Omaha's Elite.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, when it comes to Omaha's Elite, I've been with them for about 7 years, and I am the success manager. So I handle a lot of the training, all the accountability. I'm basically what you would consider as the broker for the team. I'm the one they come to with any of the questions, those types of things. And then when it comes to Elite Real Estate Systems, I am the lead coach for Elite Real Estate Systems. So I do a lot of the Monday, Wednesday agent trainings, and then the Thursday high-level calls with our team leaders.
Cool. All right. So let's talk about the two kind of directions, the two principles or whatever that are kind of underlying all of how Omaha's Elite was scaled up to now it's close to 30 agents, right? So you've got a lot of cats to herd and a lot of training to do. So you mentioned the Monday, Wednesdays, which people might be familiar with already. For those that aren't, you just kind of catch people up. What does the training look like for Omaha's Elite?
So for Omaha's Elite, we have 2 trainings a week. The first one on Mondays, right after our team meeting, we call it topical training. So we will pick a topic and train on it. The training that we have then later that week on Wednesdays is our dialogue training. And so what we do with those is we always try and have the dialogue match the topical training that we have on Monday. So just to give you an example is on Monday, say we're going to teach on open houses. On Monday, we're going to teach you how to choose the right open house, how to market it, how to set up for it, all of those types of things, right? Like the nuts and bolts. On Wednesday, then, we're going to teach you all of the dialogue, and we're going to role play that on what do I actually say to the people that came to the open house that I learned how to choose, set up, and market, right? Mm-hmm. So O is Monday and then Wednesday. Now, what we do on our team is we do a couple different things. Every training that we have is recorded and then live streamed to our website, to the Elite Real Estate Systems website, and then we give every agent on our team access to that website. Mm-hmm. So that they can turn around and either interact live via the training, right, from home or wherever they're at, or we allow them to show up in our office and do it there one-on-one with us as well, in person.
Yeah. So you mentioned something to me before we hit record, which is that anything that's worth teaching is worth recording.
Absolutely.
I love that phrase, and I'm the same way in the agency here. So if there's something that we feel like if we're ever going to do anything more than once, right, and that includes training. For sure. So anything that we do, any process, anything that's a part of the system, we want to document it, we want to record it, and then we want to turn that into a checklist, which if you train your staff properly, they can actually do a big chunk of that for you. So I want to talk a little bit about just the approach to scalable kind of team training and accountability, because from 2 perspectives. Number one, there's probably teams that are listening to this or are just flat out ERS coaching clients who are doing enough of their own training already. Right. And so I want to talk a little bit about how they can leverage that, as well as the clients and people who are listening who might not be doing a lot of their own training. And they're looking at that going, hey, I want to expand, but I can't imagine having to have a bunch of agents or even one shadow me all the time and have to slow down and explain what I'm doing for somebody else, because that is a legit concern. So how do you, as the team leader, how do you start to get into the habit of recording things? Mm-hmm. And starting to scale out that training a little bit so that it's not just having somebody shadow you.
Perfect. So, and I can think back and it kind of makes me chuckle of when I first started, we recorded nothing. We had about 7 agents on the team. And I convinced Jeff, because I bought him lunch one day, and I said, here's the deal. I'll pay for lunch if you will give me access to your calendar. And then I would just watch his calendar, and I was at the office every day, dressed and ready to go. And man, I was in his car. He would come out to his car and he'd see me standing there next to it. So I'm like, we got a listing presentation today, brother. And he's like, oh God. And I was with him everywhere he went, right? And he's like, yeah, man, shadow me whenever you want. I'm available.
Okay.
So I just everywhere. He would prospect during the lunch hour. I would bring my lunch in, sit down at his desk on the other side, and just eat my lunch while he prospected, because I just wanted to soak up and hear as much as I could, right?
Yeah.
So then we started thinking about it, and we'd have these trainings, and I was like, and he was just like, man, we got to record these, because he's so busy. He's like, I can't be here every single time to do them.
Yep.
So we got really super techie and fancy, and we had a little GoPro handheld that we would record our trainings on, right?
Okay.
And all we would do is we'd record them, throw them on the Google Drive, put them under our training videos, and then any agent who had a question or missed the training or whatever could go in and watch them, right? Now, obviously, we got like a $50,000 studio in our office, and we live stream, and we have somebody sitting at a table the whole time, and we interact online via chat with anybody who's national, right? And we do it all the way up till now. We have a whole probably 3 years worth of trainings, right? They're all recorded on, and I think we have 16 different topics that we do topical and dialogue every quarter throughout the year. Yeah. So it's grown a lot, right? Now, the other issue is, and I'll touch on this and let me know if this is kind of what you're looking for, Matt, but another thing we've done is because Jeff's time is finite. That's why we record it, right? And so it allows, instead of somebody coming to Jeff every single time and being like, hey, man, what's the answer to this? What's the answer to that? Can you teach me how to do this? Can I shadow you here? Jeff can now say, you know what? Go ahead and watch that video. And then if you have any follow-up questions, you come see me, right? So now they can get that experience still. They still get their Jeff time, right? But now they come back and instead of wanting to spend 2 hours with him, they're like, you know what? I got 2 questions. Answer this and this. So it really cuts down on his time while they're still getting high-level training. The other thing we've done is, and I think it's a credit to this type of training, is now over the years, a lot of our agents have become subject matter experts on certain things, right? We have one agent who makes a living. He does about, him and his wife do about 55 to 60 units a year. And I would say 75 to 80% of that is all circle prospecting, right? They hop on the Mojo dialer and they just hit and hammer subdivisions all year long. Well, they are now Dialogue and Mojo dialer teachers, right? We have them on, they'll do it. They'll do the training for us. They'll make live calls. They'll show us how to set it up, how to leave voicemails, what the dialogue should look like, all of that kind of stuff. We got another agent who probably hammers out about 15 to 20 units just from open houses. Guess what? She now teaches our team open houses. We've gotten every single agent on our team that's a full-time agent to agree to do at least one training a quarter and participate. So it really helps out now, or not a quarter, I'm sorry, one training a year. And so the nice thing is now if somebody has a question on an open house, somebody has a question on how to post something to Facebook, right? They can come to me because that's my role on the team now. Right? Because obviously Jeff has leveraged that to me. Well, now I can leverage that to some of the agents on the team as them being subject matter experts. So instead of coming to me with everything, they can say, they literally have a Rolodex that's on our team roster, right? Name, email, phone number, what they specialize in. And so now a lot of the newer agents that join the team can say, oh, I don't have to reach out to Andy because I know he's in a meeting or whatever. It's the weekend. I'm going to call Sarah. And I can teach open houses. Sure, a lot of us could teach open houses, but now they have multiple versions of how to do it, right? And because it gets a little stale if it's the same person up there day after day. So we really, really, really like that. And now in the future, not only leveraging our agents on our team, we want to start leveraging our ERS members across the country. And we want to start bringing them in, right, to start doing some of these trainings because we got a lot of talent across the country in our ERS network, and we want to start tapping into that.
Yeah, that's perfect because I think the one thing that happens in any business, but you can especially see it in coaching businesses, is that you set the system once and then you look up and it's 3 years later and you realize you haven't touched it. You're still teaching open houses the exact same way. The market may have shifted, the tactics may have shifted, and there may have been new apps that have come out since then that are the latest, greatest thing. You need somebody to rely on that's not you, to be constantly tinkering and experimenting with whatever's working right now and then documenting what that is. And raising up subject matter experts on your team is a great way to do that. And then you guys have got the coaching organization stacked on top that allows you to pull on even higher level people all across the country. But I want to get back to that for a second because so we talked through a little bit of what that looks like if you're building your own team and you're documenting all of your own stuff. Tell me, from your perspective, you know the content that you guys crank out from your own team that's leveraged and it's sent to all the people that are ERS clients, right? So they're getting, 2 hours of content for their agents every week. If you were a team leader on the receiving end of that, sending your agents to that training, what are some of the ways that you would leverage that to save yourself time with your own agents?
Okay. So actually, we found that it's because it's not always about time saving. Some do it, but we found out that there's about 3 different ways in which our team leaders absorb, right, our agent training. So we tell them, hey, we got this agent training. It's going to happen. Your agents can just plug in. And we've probably got about 1/3 of our team leaders who just say, hey, agents, here's the link. Go watch the video. Get all trained up. Okay. Works great because they love it because they want to fully leverage it.
Yeah, totally hands-off.
Yep. They're totally hands-off. They're like, go get them, right? Just devour. You have a year's worth of videos. Go get it. Whatever you like, use. It's awesome. Now we have another 1/3 of our team leaders, right, who want to be a little bit more hands-on. So what they will do is they will watch the training with their agents and then stop and pause it, right, throughout, and then have teachable moments throughout. Well, hey, you know what? I like this. Let's expand on that. Hey, does anybody have any questions about this? And they'll make it like an interactive 1.5 hour training each week. And if they don't like the topic that we're teaching on that week, they go through the video archive, they pull one up that they do want to teach on, right? So that's the nice thing too, is they don't always have to stay with our schedule, right?
Yeah,
Since we have the entire year recorded already. Then there's the third, and these are the obviously not high Ds, right? Because they would not want to do this, but those team leaders who really, really like to get in the weeds, they will watch the training themselves, just by themselves, take what they want, turn around, repackage it, and then train their agents. Yeah. So they're not so much leveraging the time, but they are leveraging the knowledge.
All right, that makes total sense. All right, and let's finish out with a little bit on accountability. So how does having those 2 things in place, so having anything that's worth teaching being recorded and stored, and then having subject matter experts on your team, how do those 2 things affect the accountability, and especially you as the success manager dealing with and training new agents? How does that make that job easier?
So in one way, especially when it comes to newer agents, we have recorded basically all of the basics when it comes to our systems, whether it's our CRM, which we use Boomtown, whether it's how to use the Mojo Dialer, how to use Dotloop for transactions, or how to use just our Google Drive, right? Any which way, any type of tech that we use or system that we use, we have a 6 hour long videos that we require every single agent to watch while they're onboarding, and then we quiz them at the end. And then they have to pass that quiz before we start allowing them to have lead days and stuff like that.
Sure.
So it really helps bring agents up to speed overnight. Another thing that also does when it comes to the accountability piece of it is it also tells us a lot about that person, right? It's 6 hours of video, right? It's not like you have to take a 3-month course. So we got some agents who get it done in 2 days and they're like, let's do this. And we have other agents who it seems to take them 3 weeks, right? So it tells us a lot about that person.
Yep.
Right?
That's hilarious.
Exactly. So it tells us a lot about that agent, right? And so so we do that as well. We really love that. Ever since that's happened, onboarding new agents has been amazing. We also make that available to our ERS clients. So a lot of our team leaders are starting to use that as well. And they're using some of it because they use some of the same tech and systems that we do. And then they're also adding some of their own, right?
Yeah.
Then another thing is we all get those phone calls or those text messages or those emails from our agents on like a Thursday night at 8. And they're like, hey, how do I do X, Y, or Z? Right? Instead of me stopping, pausing Game of Thrones, right? And telling my wife, well, we got to hold on a minute. I got to go take this phone call and answer it. I can just pop on right there, send them a link to the video explaining exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
And then I say, and if you don't, or if you have any questions after you've watched this video, go ahead and let me know. Right.
Yep.
Rarely ever do I get a question. If I do, it's usually something I can answer with a quick text message.
Yeah.
So that's another way that we've leveraged that. And it's really taken a lot off of my plate as far as time. Now, what I do with that time, because we always talk about, well, time's great to save, but what are you going to do with the time now that you have it? Well, now that allows me to reach out and do a lot of R&D, find out what are those new things so that we can revamp our training. I can spend a lot of my time doing that. Yeah, and like you mentioned, that's a lot of what the ERS network provides, because what they'll do is they'll say, hey, have you ever heard of something called X? And I'm like, I haven't. And they're like, yeah, we did a demo on it. It sounds pretty interesting. We were thinking about it. Well, guess what? We have a team that does 600 to 700 units here, right? We have the money to be able to do this and try it out in our sandbox. Let us handle that, and then we'll get back to you in about 3 to 6 months and let you know if it's worth doing, right? Yeah. We can fail forward because we have the machine to do so for a lot of our clients through the ERS model. And they're like, hey, is it good? Yeah. Is it not? Don't waste your money on it, right? And so then we can kind of play with those types of things. Yeah. So yeah, that's a lot of it right there.
Very cool. All right. So the two principles that I wanted to get across, if anything is worth teaching, it's worth recording, and raising up subject matter experts within your team. I feel like we've hammered away at both of those things. Super, super helpful. I love the idea of raising up subject matter experts because just from a tribal perspective, it gives them a reason to buy in and gives them a reason to stay that's intrinsically rewarding beyond just the production and the money, which I think people need. They need more and more of that, especially the younger generation are going to be more in tune with teaching and raising other people up than the last generation.
They love it. They take it seriously. Mm-hmm. They really love it. And the other thing I want to point out is I hear a lot of times, because I go on a lot of listing presentations with our agents just to because they're like, hey, come with me, see how I do, critique me. Mm-hmm. And you hear them. You're like the couple that does the Mojo dialer. They're like, you know what? When I'll see them sit down at a listing presentation and say, and by the way, after I get your house on the market, I'm going to start using this dialer. I actually trained this at our brokerage, right? And they'll talk about it because they're proud of it. You know what I mean? It puts them up there as the expert.
Yep, totally.
So it's nice, a little feather in their cap when they're sitting there and say, I know the other agent you met with doesn't do that.
Yeah. All right, love it. Okay, so let's finish out with anything that the audience needs to know that's coming up. So obviously, we want you to go leave a review and a rating for the show, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Make sure to give anybody that you really appreciate their episode, whether it's Andy or one of the other guests or whatever that we've had on the show, or if you just like Jeff, give Jeff a shout out. I don't know in the review. He'll love that. Yeah, I know. Don't give him a big head.
Right.
We love the reviews, so definitely do that. You can always get the podcast on EliteRealEstateSystems.com along with the other stuff. And then we've got Jeff'sBusinessPlan.com where you can get the 2 PDFs about the roadmap and the lead generation guide and all that fun stuff. Andy, anything else that's coming up that they need to know about?
You know what? We have workshops here in Omaha. We've got one September, I believe the 21st, and then October, I want to say 18th. They're both Mondays. You know what you can do is go to EliteRealEstateSystems.com, and they're right there on the calendar on the front page. Yep. Go ahead and sign up. It's actually those two now we can announce are going to be day and a half. Workshops, not just a day. The second day is going to be, the first day obviously is 12 hours with us. The second day is Jeff's going to speak for 2 hours on just recruiting in the morning. And then his business partner with Dynamic Properties, Clint Bartlett, is going to speak for another 2 hours just about the investment side of Dynamic Properties.
Oh, that's huge.
What they do and how they do it. People are hungry for that type of information. So we're really excited.
Yeah, love it. That's awesome, man. Well, cool. Andy, it's always a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us on the latest episode.
I love it, man. It was good to chat, buddy.